And we're out of recess. I want to thank our public servants for your patience while we were able to navigate this outage. And thank you so much to our media division for getting us back on record. St. Croix, are you able to hear us? Sign? Yes, very well. Thank you. Before we went on a recess, and this is the Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance, and we're back on record at this time. We heard the bill presentation from Senator Clifford Joseph on Bill number 36-0274, an act requiring the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority to pay compensation to the homeowners within the LBJ Gardens community who have been required to vacate their homes as a result of the actions taken related to the demolition of properties owned by the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority and associated with the operations of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority and the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority. We heard the presentation bill being placed on the record by Senator Clifford Joseph, and now we'll go to the testifiers, and we'll begin with Director Julia Reimer. Julia Reimer, Office of Management and Budget, for presentation or testimony on that bill at this time. You recognize.
Once again, Mr. Chair, good afternoon. Distinguished senators, committee members of the Budget, Appropriation and Finance Committee, and the viewing and listening audience. My name is Julia A. Reimer, Senior Director of Office Management and Budget, and a board member of the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. Along with me is a Commissioner of Finance, Commissioner Kevin McCurdy. We appear before you today in support of Bill number 36-0274, which seeks to provide a pathway for the relocation of residents of the LBJ Gardens community. First and foremost, this is a matter of public safety. The families at LBJ Gardens are living in an area where there is a recognized risk. And we both have a moral and governmental obligation to act decisively to ensure their safety and well-being. This bill takes an important step by proposing $7 million in funding from stamp tax revenues to facilitate the buyout and relocation of these residents. While the intent is commendable and the urgency is clear, I respectfully offer a strategic recommendation to strengthen the bill's fiscal approach. Rather than utilizing stamp tax revenues, I recommend that the territory instead does the following: leverage already approved U.S. HUD, which is Housing Urban Development, mitigation grant funding up to $3 million to initiate the relocation and buyout process, and actively pursue a brownfields grant to secure the balance of funding needed, up to an additional $4 million, to fully support the relocation efforts. This alternative approach achieves the same objective, fully funding a safe relocation of LBJ residents while preserving a critical local revenue source. Stamp tax funds are essential to the territory's broader housing strategy. By maintaining these funds, we ensure that the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority can continue to leverage them alongside $700 million of the CDBG DR funding to finance and accelerate the development of much-needed housing across the territory. Preserving stamp tax revenues allows us to expand affordable housing development, strengthen infrastructure investments tied to housing, maximize the long-term impact of existing federal recovery funds. In contrast, redirecting these funds to a single relocation effort, while necessary, limits our ability to address the broader housing crisis. To try to put it in context, Mr. Chair, if you borrow the $700 million I mentioned before at 4% over a 30-year window, you can actually recoup $190 million in interest. So that funds the housing program over and over in perpetuity for the Housing Finance Authority. Therefore, in the long run, they would not be coming to the general fund for $2 million worth of funding going forward. In creating this actual opportunity and actually moving the stamp tax to put in the infrastructure would assist them through stamp tax instead of using the funds to do a one-time purchase that does not generate additional investment opportunities. So therefore, in summary, Bill number 36-0274 is critical because it addresses an immediate need and a serious public safety concern, provides a mechanism to relocate vulnerable residents with dignity, and with the recommended adjustment, it can also leverage federal funding sources more effectively preserve local revenues for long-term housing development, align immediate action with long-term strategic planning. The residents of LBJ deserve swift action, but the territory also deserves a solution that both is responsible and sustainable. I respectfully urge this body to support Bill 36024 with a consideration given to amending the funding structure to utilize HUD mitigation fund and brownfield grant opportunities in place of stamp tax revenues. Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Director Reimer, for your testimony. Next, we'll go to Ms. Shelford, Interim Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. You recognize your testimony.
Good afternoon, Senator Norbert E. Francis, Jr., Chairman of the Committee on Budget, Appropriations and Finance, distinguished members of the committee, and the listening and viewing audience. I am Bala Shelford, Interim Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, and I am accompanied by Mr. Rupert Pell, Director of Planning and Construction, Jamila Perez, and Frida Webster. Jamila Perez, Director of Housing Programs, and Frida Webster, Director of Homeownership. As requested, we appear before you to provide testimony regarding Bill number 36-0274, an act requiring the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority to provide compensation to LBJ homeowners due to actions related to demolition of properties owned by VIHFA, as well as activities associated with adjacent facilities operated by Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority and the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority, respectively. As presented, the legislation appears to be premised on the assumption that the current demolition activities within the LBJ Gardens community will result in the displacement of homeowners and residents. It is important to clarify that the VIHFA has not required that LBJ property owners vacate their homes temporarily nor permanently. VIHFA's demolishment activities are strictly limited to the abandoned, dilapidated, and structurally unsafe multifamily apartment buildings that are owned by VIHFA within the surrounding area. These VIHFA-owned long vacant structures have become sites of criminal activity and pose ongoing safety risks. Accordingly, the demolition initiative is being pursued as a targeted public safety and nuisance abatement measure to eliminate hazardous conditions, enhance community safety to include the neighboring LBJ homeowners, and support the restoration of the area, including conversion to green space where appropriately. Importantly, the demolition of these abandoned structures does not require any homeowners or residents currently living in LBJ Garden to vacate their properties. No privately owned properties are being undertaken, no occupied homes are being demolished, and no residents are being displaced as part of this initiative. Therefore, the conditions that would typically trigger displacement protections, namely the involuntary removal of residents from occupied housing, are not present. While the authority recognizes the legislature's commitment to safeguarding residents from involuntary displacement, the demolition and clearance activities at LBJ Garment do not involve such displacement. Rather, they reflect a deliberate and necessary effort to remove unsafe structures and improve the overall safety and livability of the community for existing residents. The VIHFA supports effort to ensure that residents are not and will not be adversely impacted by the demolition activities. We maintain that any potential environmental conditions posed by the demolition of the buildings, for example, noise, vibration, dust, would be temporary and could be reasonably managed with proper mitigation measures. As such, VIHFA is committed to putting in place measures including but not limited to notification to residents, reasonable work hours, safety protocols, air quality monitoring, dust control, self-fencing, and close oversight of the contractor to ensure compliance. VIHFA is aware that the LBJ homeowners' properties are impacted by other environmental hazards posed by proximity to WAPA's Richmond plant and Waste Management Authority's LBJ pump station, which are more permanent in nature. To the extent that the bill seeks to address this condition, VIHFA supports the effort to assist the LBJ homeowners. However, we cannot support the bill as currently drafted. The bill proposes the use of $7 million from stamp tax funds owed, due, or becoming due to the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority pursuant to 33 Virgin Islands Code Section 130 as the funding source for the compensation of the LBJ homeowners. The use of stamp tax funds to compensate the LBJ homeowners will have a severe negative impact on the authority's operations. Stamp tax funds are used to support infrastructure development and home construction in various housing developments throughout the territory. The availability of stamp tax funds to install the necessary roads and utilities is critical to attracting developers' interest in building homes in our affordable housing subdivisions. With construction costs continuing to increase, stamp tax funds are used to supplement housing development costs, thereby decreasing the overall price of home, making them more affordable to our clients. Currently, stamp tax proceeds are slated for the following projects: construction infrastructure and homes in the estate Fortuna, North City Veg, Ross, Tannerburg, and St. Thomas, and estate Bon Esperance, Concordia, Adventure, and Mount Pleasant West on St. Croix. In addition, 12% of the stamp tax fund is authorized for operating expenses of the authority. This amount represents a sizable portion of the operating revenues reflected in the authority's annual budget. VIHFA is aware of several other possible funding sources which would not require the use of the stamp tax funding that is critically needed by the VIHFA. For example, there may be a funding opportunity to the CDBG mid-grant under the recently approved buyout program. This program is intended to reduce long-term risk by acquiring properties in high-risk hazard areas and removing them from future disaster exposure. VIHFA initially submitted a request to HUD to fund a combined buyout and acquisition program. This approach was not approved. The program was subsequently revised to a buyout-only structure consistent with HUD mitigation objectives and approved for $3 million through a substantial amendment to the CDBG Mid-Action Program. Within the action plan, VIHFA identified LBJ Gardens as a strong candidate for the buyout program, with potential future expansions into other eligible areas across the territory. We have also included a safe housing initiative in the program to ensure that no participating household is left unhoused as a result of voluntary relocation. This program is anticipated to launch in October 2026. Additionally, because of the environmental impacts of WAPA and Waste Management Authority, the LBJ site seems like a strong candidate for recognition as a brownfield. A brownfield site is defined as previously developed land, often industrial or commercial, whose reuse or redevelopment may be complicated by the presence of or potential presence of hazardous substances, pollutants, or contaminants. A possible recommendation is that the government of the Virgin Islands pursue a declaration of the area as a brownfield, as this designation will likely open various federal grant funding opportunities, such as EPA's brownfield grants. A brownfield grant provides funding to assess, clean up, and safely redevelop abandoned or contaminated properties. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on this bill and clarify that VIHFA demolition activities are strictly limited to its own abandoned, dilapidated, and structurally unsafe buildings within the surrounding area, and that our activities do not require the displacement of nearby residents. We are available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Interim Executive Director Shelford, for your testimony there. And next, we'll go to Legal Counsel, General Counsel Sinclair, Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. You recognize for your testimony at this time.
Thank you, and good morning, Honorable Chair. Well, good morning.
Let's get a mic a little bit closer to you.
All right, let's try again. Good afternoon, Honorable Chairman Novell Francis Jr., honorable members of the Committee on Budget, Appropriations and Finance, honorable senators present, fellow testifiers, and members of the listening and viewing public. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. I am Dion Sinclair, General Counsel for the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority, which I may reference as WAPA or the Authority, appearing today on behalf of the Executive Director and CEO, Carl Knight. I thank you for the opportunity to testify on Bill number 36-0274, which would require the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority to provide compensation to homeowners in the LBJ Gardens community who have been displaced as a result of demolition activities on nearby VI Housing Finance Authority properties. WAPA appreciates the legislature's attention to this important matter and recognizes the urgency of ensuring that affected residents are relocated in a safe, fair, and equitable manner. The authority supports Bill number 36-0274 as proposed. Over time, the LBJ Gardens area has evolved from a primarily residential neighborhood into a more industrialized zone. Today, it is surrounded by critical infrastructure and commercial operations, including the Waste Management Authority's LBJ pump station, a boatyard, and WAPA's Richmond power plant, and related facilities such as the fuel dock. These are essential fixed assets that cannot be readily relocated. As a result, the most practical and responsible path forward is to facilitate the voluntary relocation of residents through structured and equitable process. The bill establishes a clear and transparent framework for providing compensation, relocation assistance, and replacement housing to eligible homeowners. It also appropriately assigns responsibility for funding these efforts to the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, consistent with its mission to promote housing stability and resilience across the territory. WAPA believes that legislation serves the best interests of the government, the residents of the LBJ Garden community, and the people of the Virgin Islands as a whole. It advances public safety, supports families during a difficult transition, and enables long-term development planning that benefits the broader community. Accordingly, WAPA supports Bill number 36-0274. This concludes our testimony, and we are available to answer any questions the committee may have.
Thank you very much, General Counsel Sinclair, for your testimony on behalf of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. Next, we'll recognize Ms. Wanda Centeno, resident of LBJ. You recognize your testimony at this time.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Senator Novell E. Francis Jr., Chair of the Committee on Budget, Appropriations and Finance, Vice Chair, Senator Marvin A. Blyden, members of the committee, the senators of the 36th Legislature, and the listening and viewing public. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today regarding the ongoing conditions facing the residents of LBJ Gardens community in Christensen, St. Croix. My name is Wanda Centeno, and I appear before you today as a concerned resident and advocate for the families who continue to live under circumstances that no Virgin Islander should be expected to endure. For years, residents of LBJ Gardens have lived with uncertainty, health concerns, environmental hazards, and repeated promises that have yet to produce meaningful solutions. The people of this community have demonstrated patience, resilience, and cooperation. Unfortunately, government agencies have not demonstrated the same urgency. The issues confronting LBJ Gardens extend far beyond aging housing stock. Residents live in close proximity to critical industrial infrastructure. The WAPA power plant, a waste management authority sewage pump station, and a yacht manufacturing company, which is Gold Coast, all generating legitimate concerns regarding public health, safety, and quality of life. These concerns include the continued operation and maintenance challenges associated with nearby WAPA facilities, including its propane tanks, and a fear many residents have regarding the proximity to major utility infrastructure referred to as a blast zone. The proposed relocation projects of Waste Management Authority. Persistent concerns surrounding Waste Management Authority facilities, mechanical problems, odors, emissions, leaks, and environmental impacts. The proposed relocation and demolishment activities associated with the LBJ infrastructure projects from VI Housing Finance Authority. Air quality concerns related to industrial activities in the surrounding area. The deteriorated and abandoned government-owned structures located among occupied residents. Long-standing questions regarding environmental testing, health monitoring, and public transparency, which was highlighted and made public during VI Housing Finance Authority illegal attempt of demolition. Perhaps most troubling is that residents have repeatedly attended meetings, participated in community discussions, and listened to commitments from government officials, only to see little measurable progress until today. In 2023, residents were informed that a buyout and relocation strategy was being considered. Specific discussions included financial assistance, amounts that would allow families to relocate from an area increasingly viewed as unsuitable for long-term resident occupation. Yet months later, at yet another meeting was renegade. Since then, residents have watched as studies are announced, plans are discussed, consultants are retained, and meetings are held, while conditions on the ground remain largely unchanged. As time passes, some residents have died. Others have been placed in long-term care centers, and the remaining are exactly where they are, still waiting for answers. The results have been a growing erosion of public trust. The people of LBJ Gardens know any Virgin Island resident shall have to choose between protecting their health and maintaining a roof over their heads. Today, I respectfully ask this committee
to exercise its oversight authority and require accountability from the agencies involved. Only a concerted effort from the legislature and the government of the Virgin Islands can make right the wrong that we are living. Number one, urgency and fair compensations for residents. Mr. Chairman, and members of this committee, residents of LBJ Gardens understand that solving a problem of this magnitude, legislative action, funding, planning, and coordination among multiple agencies. However, what residents can no longer accept is an open-ended process with no clear timeline for completion. For many families, every passing day brings additional anxiety, uncertainty, and emotional distress. We worry about our health and of the elderly residents, the parents that we now take care of. And they is in turn worry about whether they will live long enough to see a resolution. Homeowners continue to question the future value of the largest investment many have ever made. The mental and emotional toll associated with certain of years of uncertainty cannot be understated. Therefore, residents respectfully request that the legislation solution considers all necessary action, including funding allocations, property acquisition, relocation assistance, environmental mitigation, and residents' compensation to be completed within 6 months or less. The people of LBJ Gardens have already waited years for relief. They should not be asked to wait years more. This request is particularly important given that the 36th legislature and the government of the Virgin Islands' current administration is approaching the end of its term. Residents want assurance that any solution adopted will not become another unfinished promise passed from one administration or legislature to the next. They deserve a clear implementation timeline with measurable milestones and public accountability. Number two, establish a dedicated funded strategy. It is clear that government officials acknowledge that conditions warrant relocation or property acquisition. Then funding must be identified and prioritized. Funding sources must be made available for a buyout or relocation. Third, replacement value rather than appraised value. Additionally, residents strongly believe that any compensation program should be based on replacement value rather than traditional appraisal value. Many of the properties in around LBJ Gardens have been negatively affected by decades of government decisions, infrastructure setting, industrial activity, environmental concerns, and public perceptions, issues that have contributed to declining property values. As a result, conventional appraisals may fail to reflect what it would actually cost a resident to purchase a comparable home elsewhere in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It would be fundamentally unfair for residents to bear the financial consequences of conditions they did not create. and over which they had no control. If government action, government facilities, or government-approved activities contributed to this deterioration, stigma, or devaluation of this neighborhood, then residents should not be penalized through compensation formulas that rely solely on depressed market values. A replacement value approach would ensure that families have a realistic opportunity, comparable housing, and maintain the quality of life they would have enjoyed had these circumstances never occurred. The goal should not merely be to compensate residents for what their property is worth today under distressed conditions. The goal should be to make residents whole. Fourth, demolition. The abandoned public structures located within and around the residential areas should not remain standing indefinitely. These structures create hazards, safety hazards, attract illegal activities, depress property values, and contribute to the perception that the government has abandoned the community. However, demolition of the VA Housing Authority abandoned structures should not take place while homeowners are within less than 10 feet away. In closing remark, Mr. Chairman, the residents of LBJ Gardens are not seeking a windfall. They are seeking fairness, dignity, and closure. They want the opportunity to move forward without carrying the financial burden of decisions made by others. They want a process that recognizes both the economic loss and the emotional hardship they endure. Most importantly, they want certainty that this legislature will act and that the solution adopted will be implemented promptly, not years into the future. Too often, discussion about LBJ Gardens focuses on agencies and projects. We must remember, behind every report is a family. Behind every delayed decision is a resident living with uncertainty. Behind every postponed solution is another year that people continue to wait. I respectfully urge this committee to use its budgetary and oversight authority to ensure that the concerns of the LBJ Gardens residents are no longer deferred, delayed, or forgotten. I want to thank for your time and consideration. I want to give thanks, special thanks, to Senator Maurice James, Senator Clifford Joseph, Senator Hubert Frederick, Senator Franklin Johnson, and Senator Angel Borges for assisting us with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Centeno, for your testimony there. And at this time, that rounds out the discussion on Bill number 36-0274. And we'll open up the floor on all of the bills before us. We have Bill number 36-0045, a $400,000 request from the Tourism or Advertising Revolving Fund to the Taxi Cab Commission. We also have Bill number 36-0273, an act amending 8464, redirecting appropriation from the first-time home buyers to the Williams Delight community, as well as the SLICE program. And we just heard on Bill number 36-0274, addressing the issues of relocating the individuals from the LBJ housing community there. Colleagues, I'll go to a 6 minutes round. And I'll go ahead and begin with Senator Angel Volquez. I know you're a bill sponsor of one of them, but we have 3 bills before, so I recognize you for your 6 minutes at this time.
Point of
1 second, sir. Point of information, Senator Gittins.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Quickly, it's actually a point of personal privilege. I just wanted to thank the testifiers for their testimony. I'm not a member of this committee, but I'm looking forward to acting upon the measures that's before us. And I especially want to thank the last testifier for her moving testimony there, as I understand, and her statements. Really, I believe I can speak for many, but we felt your passion in this and look forward to addressing this matter. But I just wanted to apologize, as I'm not a member of this committee. I have to excuse myself as I have another engagement at 6:15. So I just wanted to say thank you to the testifiers for your testimony, and at the appropriate time, I'm looking forward to addressing these matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senator Gittins. At this time, Senator Volquez, you recognize for your 6 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good evening. Mr. Chair, good evening, colleagues, to the listening and viewing audience, central staff, my staff, and the testifying panel here before us for the 3 measures in this block. I wanted to start off with Bill number 36-0273. And we know that the VI Slice program has received 117 applications, approved 87 applicants, and exhausted its more than recent $2 million allocation in approximately 60 days. So what that tells me, and I assume my colleagues as well, is that the demand for home ownership assistance in the Virgin Islands is very high. And I want to say that these bills in this block, I am supporting all of them. Even though I'm not a member of this committee, I do look forward to hopefully seeing them move forward so that I can support them. But I wanted to ask a few questions to the testifiers. If these funds remain where they are today for this specific bill here concerning Williams Delight and the VI Slice program, really and truly, how many additional homeowners will actually be created in the next 12 months? Because seemingly the funds have not moved from the Housing Finance Authority. I understand that there are projects slated to come online with the urge to utilize those funds at that time, but it seems more prudent for us to fill a gap now than wait for tomorrow. So can someone help me understand why we shouldn't do what we're really requesting through this bill to do?
Good afternoon, Senator. Frida Webster, Director of Homeownership, VI Housing Finance Authority. I think you need to understand, or this body, I should say, should understand the difference between the 2 programs, first and foremost. The VI Slice program, as was mentioned by the EDA and mentioned in VIHFA's testimony, is a grant program that provides secondary financing gap financing in the form of a grant for multifamily residences, for income brackets that are above mixed use of income brackets. The $4 million program that VI Housing Finance Authority has was designed as a loan program, also gap financing, also secondary financing, but a loan program because the intent was to create a revolving fund for generations to come. So if you take our monies today and give it to VI Slice, yes, they have people waiting because they have multifamily units to finance, where VI Housing Finance Authority is still only financing single-family dwellings. That is our mandate as per the code. The individuals that are attractive to the VI Slice program are looking for a grant, and they're looking for multifamily dwelling. No fault of their own. That is what they want. That is what the program provides. At VIHFA, we're trying to put individuals, first-time home buyers, into single-family dwellings. And since there is a low stock of those properties in the territory, our Planning and Construction Division is charged with the mandate to develop these homes. Mr. Pell could speak to in more detail about the process. It takes time, but the staff of VIHFA, specifically the Homeownership Division, we market all of our programs every day, whether it's by phone, through our outreach activities. I cannot make people apply, but we encourage individuals to come, get pre-qualified to understand where they are. Our programs are for very low to moderate income households. The $4 million Act was designed for moderate income households. We have made changes to our acquisition cost limits so that our acquisition cost limits were more realistic in terms of the cost of housing in the territory. But still, we require a single-family dwelling, and we require that our transaction be a loan. To say I could have 10 people or 20 people in the next 12 months, I can't guarantee that. But I can guarantee you that we will continue marketing our program. Our Planning and Construction Division will continue working towards building single-family dwellings, which is what our mandate requires.
And I appreciate your very loaded response. And I'm not fighting you or arguing with you with what you have just stated on the record. However, it is imperative for this body to find opportunities for home ownership in the Virgin Islands because of the scarcity of housing in the territory.
30 seconds.
The intent of the measure is to utilize a program that is successful or fairly successful in putting individuals into homes. So I see the intent, and I appreciate and I support the intent. But one could also sit here and say, well, is it better to leave the funds sitting unused or to put them into programs that are already helping families get into homes, right? So for me, that's an easy win in the sense of I prefer to support something that is actually going to put people in homes, because as it stands right now, the market is unstable when it comes to home opportunities for Virgin Islands, for that fact.
Time.
Mr. Chair, I know I'm sort of long-winded here, but I really would ask for your lenience. I appreciate it very much. So the question at hand is, and I know you answered partially, what do we do now? We understand your position, but we're going to have to deal with the lesser of two evils in this case.
And I hear you, but I want to remind everyone listening that the Housing Finance Authority is the government agency that has been charged with the responsibility to develop affordable housing products, homes for the residents of the territory, not the EDA.
One could argue.
And if you take that money, then you limit our ability to do so.
One could argue that that has not been happening in the Housing Finance Authority. One could argue that the Housing Finance Authority has underperformed in that area.
Rightfully so. But at this time, for us, it was a timing issue. We got a lot of federal funds, and using those funds, if you understand how you use the funds, we had to stand up a program, stand up funding that was way above our capacities. We had to do staffing. We did a lot of things to get where we are today. So today, based on our planning, we're getting ready to implement several houses, several projects, getting with developers. I mean, right now, presently, that's what we're doing. So I'll have Mr. Pell also say, if he can, during this time, say what we are doing right now to use our funding, which also includes our stamp tax funds. And
Before Mr. Pell responds, you conclude, Senator, with your line of questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Very well, thank you. Mr. Pell, you may respond to this.
Good afternoon, Rupert Pell, Director of Planning and Construction. As Ms. Webster and Ms. Valdez had alluded to, we do have a total of 40-plus projects that are in the works. They are in various phases, and this is projects relative to all funding sources. Now, as we're talking about the CDBG funds, the mitigation funds, the home funds, and the $4 million funds, when we execute these projects, which some are in starting construction and some are in contracting phase, and we also have developers that have come in to put programs in place, Ms. Webster do have a list of mortgage-ready clients for single-family homes that are on standby waiting for these projects to be completed. For example, we have Mount Pleasant in St. Croix, where we just concluded the contracting for the construction of 7 homes. We have an additional 8 homes that's coming. We have the Queen Louise townhouse development on St. Thomas, which is going to be 16 townhouses. And like I said, there's a various list of projects, and I mean, I don't want to take the time and go through each of them, but there's a lot of projects that are in the works at this time, and as Ms. Valdez stated, there was a time period where there was a lapse because you had to build up and get certain things in place.
Thank you for that, Mr. Pell. I just want to say that the intent behind of the identifying this particular $4 million at the time was that we were seeing an obliteration of our middle-income, middle-class community, our police officers, our teachers, our nurses, and they were just leaving again because of the challenges that they were experiencing in terms of home ownership. We knew that there was an incentive for those individuals that had low and moderate income. There was some incentive for those individuals that was higher and could afford it. And we just had that void in between there. Hence, we came up with this initiative to be able to address and hopefully fulfill that. So I wanted to ask you, are you testifying, or are you saying that there was no interest whatsoever? Everyone always was more going towards the grant program. There was no interest whatsoever from those middle income individuals that may have been able to tap into that particular funding?
No, Senator. There was a lot of... Hello? Senator? Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello. Okay. Yes, Senator. There was a lot of interest. We got a lot of phone calls and a lot of walk-in traffic regarding the program. Every time we marketed the program, right? The issue is they want grant financing. There's a lot of discussion in the territory about grant financing. So they wanted multifamily units, meaning at least a rental unit or 2. VI Slice allows, I think, up to 3 units. So that was more attractive for them than coming for our loan program, single family unit. But our program was designed for the police officers, the correction officers who have, that sort of income. So it has to do with people were more focused on trying to get the grant program first, some of them which were successful.
So would you then admit that the fact that we're moving in that direction where there's an attempt to be able to meet those individuals where they're at, that we could in fact be, number one, stopping the bleeding of those individuals that's leaving the territory as a result of home ownership, as well as we're able to ensure that these people get a piece of the rock and make better use of it if we actually redirect this to meet the individuals where they're at least at this given time where we're seeing that particular void.
I don't agree with the movement of the money, because what you will do is totally destroy our $4 million moderate income program. And there's no guarantee that the individuals that are waiting are going to find a product within their price point. You still have to qualify for the home of your choice, right? With us and with EDA. The difference is that we are creating a revolving fund for generations to come.
So outside of because again, at a later time, we could revisit that and look for another $4 million to address that particular issue. But the void that we have in now, are you would you say then that you will be able to administer this under your HFA, and not under EDA, but with the same ability to allow for grants to these individuals, as middle income individuals?
As long as the candidates apply far within our current guidelines. Remember, VIHFA is still single-family dwelling. EDA is multi-family dwelling. I can't compete with that.
Yes. All right.
Right? And then we want to utilize, if possible, to utilize some of the proceeds to relaunch the system slab program, which we have added the septic system to that because we see there's a need to assist individuals to start the construction of their homes. And given the cost of construction, we're asking that we could use some of that money, $2 million at least, to relaunch the system and slab, including the septic, to a cap of $100,000 per transaction.
And I think that's something that's doable.
Right.
I think that's the same recommendation that have been made by
Right.
Director Reimer, and I think that's something that we should seriously consider. Point of information, Senator Blyden.
Commissioner?
Mike, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I didn't
Thank you
realize
so much.
One second, Senator Villa. Senator Blyden have a point of information. I'll come to you right now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Based on the Senator large line of questioning to you, Ms. Webster, because I need to clarify one thing: is grant versus loan. That's the bottom line.
Correct.
And you spoke to my colleague spoke to the void that we did have. That's why we brought this bill up in terms of middle income. Like my colleague, Senator Farmer, Senator Surrey, etc. That's why we did a program. It was important. Police officers, etc. And the key is it's a revolving fund, which means it will happen time and time again and help a lot of individuals. Of course, you can't compete with a slice program. At this time, you cannot. Because if I go in for a loan to get a house, I go in for the money now. You know, I don't have to, it's a no-brainer to me. So the point is, I can agree with it, but it needs to be a different funding source. That's my position. What's your thought as to why many people have not come? Would not be part of the problem also, in your opinion?
Correct. Yes, absolutely, Senator.
Yeah, they'll be repeating the same thing. I think that when there's options, obviously individuals will go for what's the better offer available to them at any given time. Senator Villa, you recognize for your testimony, for your point of information at this time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the real reality is that mortgages are so expensive for individuals to build. So when you get in that $400,000, it's thousands of dollars you have to pay every month, and that's why individuals are opting towards a grant. But what I wanted to put on the record, when we passed the First Time Home Buyers Act, Housing Finance Authority used to only get 30% of the stamp tax. That exact legislation changed it to 50%. So for the last 5 years, you have received you're supposed to receive 2.8 million more than you would have received. Because it's an average of 14 million, so now they're getting 7. Before they was getting 4.2. So you have received $14 million additional as a result of the First Time Home Buyers Act. So the big question is, what are you doing with that $14 million? But part of the answer is going to be that it wasn't released to Housing Finance Authority. But the bill mandate that it's supposed to be released. So now, you can't get the money you're supposed to get by law. By law to the Housing Finance Authority, but you don't want the $4 million to be utilized to help individuals who can now move into homes and to be able to replenish some monies into the SLICE program because there's so many applicants. I have submitted an amendment, Mr. Chair, to change the way the money is broken down. The monies for Williams Delight stay the same, the $510,000 to make sure that everybody is dealt with. $1,745,000 to the SLICE program and $1,745,000 to the System and SLAP program so the money could stay with the Housing Finance Authority. If I'm not in this body and the money is spent within 2 years, I'm going to reprogram that too. Because we ain't going to be giving money and the money just sitting there. So thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
And I ask for your support of that amendment.
Thank you. At this time, the chair would like to recognize Senator Frederick. You're recognized for your 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Pleasant good afternoon, colleagues, testifiers, listening and viewing audience, my office, and of course, central staff. This is a very interesting discussion. I've read the testimonies, and I see the dilemma with reprogramming money. I understand the complexities of construction because I've built a few properties myself, commercial and residential. And I understand the expensive cost of living that we deal with in the Virgin Islands. Robbing Peter to pay Paul doesn't necessarily solve a problem. I really don't like the fact that this is a legitimate housing program that we have as an agency that's their job to do what they're doing, and then we're defunding them now because we feel they're not spending the money fast enough. I personally don't understand why we would do that, but we may not agree with the pace that this government spends money to get things done, but it's in a good place. They're making progress. And if we've got projects to show that there are construction, single-family dwelling, which is the most important piece of real estate out there, then we should support them and not undermine them. It's a revolving line of credit, basically. The money goes out and it comes back in to help someone else so they could have sufficient capital to build. So personally, I think, colleagues, we should revisit this particular argument about just randomly taking money because they're not moving fast enough. I've heard it a few times since I've been in this committee that if money doesn't move right away, then we feel it's incumbent for us as legislators to act fast and move it. But then sometimes there's legitimate reasons, like we heard today. They were trying to spend the federal funds first, and that's what we asked them to do, so we don't lose those. I wish they could do both, though. You know, but here we are at this point. In reference to my friends at LBJ Gardens, in this case, it's going to have to be a payout because I don't know where we're going to find $7 million to make those people whole for right now. And I will give my full assurance to HFA that I will work hard with my colleagues in the Budget Appropriation Committee to find some money to put back in there. But for this unique situation that's been going on for a long time, and you have to go there and see how those residents live. It's very dangerous. Living within a blast zone is not good. And I wish it was WAPA paying this money, personally. Not anyone else. It's a WAPA issue. WAPA pays the tanks there, the propane tanks there, and they should pay for it if you're going to displace people. But, you know, they didn't come with any money, so now we have to make this uncomfortable decision. And last but not least, the Taxi Commission. Director Smith, I know you've been here before and you've had this discussion about needing some money to upgrade your agency because you're in the paper age still. And we expect a lot from you, but we're not giving you any funding. And every time we try to find funding, we can't reconcile the account. You know, sometimes they'll give us a fund balance of $100 million and we can't spend $400,000 out of that. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take a chance. You're going to have my support because we need to fix the Taxi Commission, and you know, hopefully we have the money in it. That's all I could say. I hope we do. That's not my way of doing things as an auditor. I mean, I feel embarrassed to take money out of a fund that I don't know the true nature of what the balance is, but if we don't take a chance on this one, you'll never get this money. So you have my support on this one. Mr. Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak my mind. Thank you.
And that you did. Thank you. At this time, I will recognize Senator Lewis for his 6 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon to the people of Verdun. Good afternoon to all the testifiers here and in St. Croix. Before I go to my line of question, and I have two very important questions, and this is one that really have been, two of these questions have been troubling. And, every time I meet these folks, or I meet the people in the community, all I could say is that we provide the funding. And it's kind of hard to say what's next step. So let me turn, Attorney Sinclair, sorry to put you on the spot, but you're representing the authority. We passed Act 9074, $4 million with street lighting. We also passed Bill number 36-0117, appropriating $300,000 to fix street lights in St. Thomas as well. Could you tell me where we are with street lighting in the territory?
Thank you, Senator, for your question. While I don't personally operate within the operations sphere, I will say that we have taken strides on both those bills to bring action to light as expeditiously as we can. With respect to the first act you mentioned, there have been purchases, I believe 2 thus far, of bucket trucks in order to enable the linemen to do their jobs, just because, as I'm sure everyone in the territory knows, there has been a shortage of these trucks and these apparatus in order to enable us to get to the areas that we need to get to do repairs and to do installations. There's also been a number of parts ordered and fixtures ordered, and we're still awaiting delivery on those. When last I was briefed, I believe it was about 1.6 that was expended to date, and more is in the works. With respect to the second act, there's a request for a proposal that's live right now. My understanding, I believe it was supposed to close this week, but it has been extended in order to do further bases and mounts for street lighting in the area. So both of those are moving along at a rather quick rate.
So how I'll say, while I hear your answer, and it's been taking quite some time, I really have to empathize and thank the community for their patience. It's been long overdue. And what prompted me to the really more that over the weekend was a bit frustration. Right in front of this legislature here Friday night, my friend got knocked down. I don't want to be the one anymore. When I was administrator, when a young man got knocked down, lower down the road by FEMA, the very next day lights went up. We make calls, the very day next lights went up. I cannot, and I don't want to stand by anymore, putting our people like my lives and your life in danger.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do this with some type of urgency in the 3 islands. Please, I'm humbly asking and begging this time.
I hear you. And first of all, I want to send my sympathies. I'm very sorry to hear about that. We just always have to be mindful. The Water and Power Authority understands the whole dilemma between DPW and us and who put up the lights. In terms of this waterfront, these were not our structures. We are moving to try and get all the information we can in order to support and to fix and maintain. But not every light has been established by WAPA. It just has not.
When the elephants fight, the grass getting trampled on. I'm going to leave it there. Mr. Pell, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
HFA had a program with replacement of homes with asbestos. Nearly 4 to 5 years ago, Ms. Freeman them here around the field, the mother died waiting for this program. Not a block, a doorknob, nothing. I've tried my best to get answers. Tell me you have some good news today for the families. I think about 12 homes
1 minute.
identified. Tell me you have some answers for me today.
Good afternoon, Rupert Pell, Director of Planning and Construction via HFA. You are correct. There was at some point, a legislation that was passed and appropriated funds to assist 12. Well, it was a fund appropriated, but 12 homes was identified as being asbestos laden. The program got started, and either the funding source expired.
30 seconds.
Either the funding source expired or there was no funds left or not enough funds was placed in the program. In the process, a total of 3 of these homes were demolished. When I came into HFA and I was told about it, we started to move forward to address the situation. If HFA demolished the homes, I said HFA should rebuild the homes. I'm happy to tell you today we have a request for proposal that's going out for the design of those 3 homes that were demolished. It's scheduled to be advertised this coming Friday. We are in communication with the 3 families that were affected.
Time.
And we have been working towards making them whole with this process.
Mr. Chairman, I do thank you for your leniency. I know this wasn't germane to none of your bills, but I really had to get it in for my constituents. As it pertains to the 3 bills, I don't have a vote in this committee, but it's sometime in rules and in session, I'll address them accordingly. I thank you and thank everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
testimony.
Senator Lewis. Before we go to the next senator, which will be Senator Blyden, Ms. Shelford, what was the last housing development done in the St. Thomas district as well as the St. Croix district?
That was Ms. White. Whispering Hills?
Oh, yeah, it had to be Whispering Hills, which is Dunu across from Carshalefs. Those houses up there.
When was that done? The last 5 years, last 8 years, last 10 years?
No, the last one closed in fiscal year 2023. And right now we have a contractor to complete 2 homes up there that had gotten stalled, but we already have a contractor to fix those 2 homes.
Okay, but the development, the housing development, Whispering Hills, what about Meadows was the last one on St. Croix?
Meadows, which is Bon Esperance.
Mount Pleasant. We have some on we have in Mount Pleasant also, and I think it was Mount Pleasant because...
Mount Pleasant was after Bon Esperance.
And we have
when was Mount Pleasant?
We closed the last home in Mount Pleasant. I believe it was 2022. For that phase.
And when that development began?
I think it started before the storms of 2017.
2017. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So, the Blyden, you recognized for your 6 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and good evening to everyone. And thank you for your testimonies. Let me start with bill number 36.0045 in respect to the technical upgrades for the Taxi Cab Commission. I just have one thing to put on the record. Commissioner McCurdy, you stated that it must be tourism related. And definitely, it is tourism related because, as a matter of fact, we all know that taxi drivers are the first those individuals when they come here, and when they leave, they're the last they see. So I definitely will be supporting that piece of legislation. The second bill is 36.0273 that deals with the first-time home buyers program and basically transferring those funds to the William Delight residents. For sure, I'm for that 100%. For slice, I'm not for it at all. As was stated in my statement in respect to the slice program, it's a good program, but it's a grand program. And I believe that program needs to go back under HFA. Period. Anything that has to do with housing should be under HFA. That's who runs all of our housing programs. I'm not one that believes in management who are not fulfilling their duties to just scrap programs. You change management and you put the right person there to do the job and do it the right way. That's just the way it is. So, and HFA right now are putting forth a lot of good program. They're actually listening and adjusting, which anyone should, based on the assignment. And I appreciate what they're doing at this time, and I look forward to working in conjunction with them to support them in their needs, because that's why I'm here. Lastly, bill number 36.0274 in respect to LBJ. I must say that one is, it hits me differently because my concern is not with the bill. My concern is with the bill, not the resident of LBJ Gardens, because their issues should not be ignored. They are homeowners, they are families, they are people who have lived with uncertainty and concerns about their homes, their health, their property, and the future. You know, and if government action or government-related conditions have placed them in an unfair position, then government has a responsibility to respond and respond appropriately. But we must do it in the right way. And my concern with the bill, which is that as written, I have a problem with it, first of all, because the funding source. The funds cannot come from the source that they're asking us to get it from. And secondly, I must say that the way the bill is written, the language is unclear in terms of who gets rewarded. Because it states that the homeowners have been required to vacate their homes due to government action, right? But I believe that based on testimony also, they were saying that they are not displacing the residents. But the residents are saying it's unsafe to live, it's dilapidated. The ones in the private homes are not being demolished. Also the ones that an occupied homes are not being demolished. But the activity itself have an issue. They have an issue with the activity. So my question is, who qualifies and exactly the language in terms of does require who's supposed to vacate? What does that mean? In terms of an eviction, if they're going to be evicted, does it mean that finding that a home is unsafe or uninhabitable? Does it include what, for instance, constructive eviction? It's a lot of questions I have, and I want to say at the end of the day, though, I do agree that the residents must be made whole because it's no fault of their own. And my only issue is the funding source. We must find another funding source, and two different funding sources was recommended by Director Reimer in his testimony, and I believe that's the way we should go. But I do not believe that we should obligate them $7 million in stamp tax revenue because, first of all, we don't have know if that money is available because they have not received it. So I don't want to put a resident in a position whereas they are looking forward to that funding and it's not available for them. Then we're going to put them in a quagmire. So I do not believe that we should tap into that funding source for that simple reason. But at the same time, I do support the residents, and we must find a way to work with them in terms of what they're facing in their current living conditions. So I will be voting at an appropriate time. Mr. Chair, and I want to thank you so much for the time. I want to thank the testifiers and the residents for advocating for the rights, basically. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senator Blyden. I don't want to leave the impression that the stamp tax, have you received recently $5 million in stamp tax? HFA?
Yes, we have.
Okay. So I want a record to reflect that. In fact, you have received some money. That was the first in a while that you have received it, but you have received some money of recent.
And it was already obligated to projects that we are ready to go.
No.
And like one of the things...
That's fine. Wait, I just want to make sure that we're hearing that you have not received stamp tax. And as a chair, I want to make sure that, in fact, there was a disbursement, because that's what I was told, that there was a disbursement of $5 million recently for that. So I just want to make sure that was done, right? You're saying, yes, you received that.
Yes, we did.
Very well. Thank you. Point of information, Senator Blyden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you're correct. They did receive $5 billion, but our stated is already obligated. And my question is, Director Reimer, what's the outstanding balance when it comes to stamp tax for the Housing Finance Authority?
The amount that is outstanding on the account is about $28 million.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Thank you so much for putting that on the record.
No
Thank you so
problem.
much, Mr. Chair.
Very well. Thank you. I heard, before we go on to the next senator, which will be Senator Fonseca, I heard under testimony, I think it was Ms. Michelle Ford that mentioned that there is no real impact or damages associated with the demolition at LBJ right now, and there was no reason to relocate those individuals there. Did you kind of said something to that extent?
We did not require them to
relocate or move.
No, we didn't require them. Yeah. We have since been out to the residents, letting them know that we are going to start demolition of the buildings again. There'll be green space, and we do understand. And like we said, we did get a buyout program through the HUD program. We're willing to help the residents as much as we can, but not using the stamp tax. And one of the things that we have to recognize that when developers come in, and we're talking to developers now, they would like us, they want you to have your infrastructure in. They don't want to have that cost. And the infrastructure cost is not turned over to our clients. When we sell them the house, we don't say, okay, this portion is for when we use stamp tax too. That is not given to us.
Well, that might be better for us because those are inferior infrastructures anyway, but that really becomes the burden of the government of the Virgin Islands in the future. I mean, it is. I spend a lot of time fixing roads, repairing electricity and all kind of things as a result of the basic infrastructure that put in by some of those developers initially. We spent a lot of time funding that in this body. I'm telling you. So, but the point I wanted to make though is that even with the demolition, and Mr. Pell, you're an engineer, even with the demolition, I have seen where surrounding residents have been impacted by a lot of cracks. Even though they may not be in that very immediate area, there is a lot of impact that's sustained, and I visited some homes where there was close demolitions recently, where there is some impact to those homes because of severe cracks and those things that develop as a result of the demolition. Have you seen that in your experience, Mr. Pell?
Good afternoon, Rupert Pell. I have not done any inspection of individual homes within that area, but I would beg to differ to think it had anything to do with the two buildings that were demolished previously. Those buildings were demolished using a jar system that just crushed the building in place.
Yeah.
There wasn't any blasting, any hammering, or anything to that effect.
Okay. Is there any of that going to be done in these other buildings to be done?
No, it's all going to be a claw type system where it's just like chewing the concrete in order to separate the steel out of it.
So foundation and everything has remained. You don't take that. You don't excavate that.
The foundation in this case will be removed because we have to restore the site to a green area.
And that'll be removed by claws as well.
Yes.
Okay. Very well. But even with your experience, I'm asking about even with demolition that you're seeing, because some of them actually involve blasting. We saw that by the bypass and some of those other areas where there were severe damages done by residents within the surrounding areas, and we have seen some of the complaints that have come in on that. Have you seen that?
It's possible, depending on the type of demolition that's happening, but you also have to remember the homes that are surrounding the LBJ community more than likely are severely aged, just like the community that we are disposing of.
Yes.
And it's likely that there is crack or settlement that have happened in the community, but it's not necessarily as a result of any activity undertaken or planned to be undertaken by HFA.
Very well. At this time, Senator Fonseca, you recognize for your 6 minutes.
Yes, good evening to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm in favor of all of these bills. I wanted to start with Ms. Centennial. Wanda, how are you doing? We listened attentively to your testimony, and the bill right now, as presented, has it would call for the replacement value payments to all within 18 months. I noticed your testimony was stressing for it to be done as soon as possible. And I hear that. But I want to let you know that I'm a co-sponsor of the bill. You didn't mention Ray Pupa Fonseca. So how do you feel about the 18 months? I think that's what the bill calls for now, because I notice, you're in the blast zone, they have the waste management, sewage. It's really a real, I don't want to say an old community, but it's past its useful life. So I definitely think that this needs to be done post haste. I don't know if you had any other comments to say.
To me, 18 months is too far, too long of a wait. We've waited too many years. The first time we met with the governor, that was 2023, actually August, when I sent him an email directly to him, and we met with him. And we're in 2026. I think we have lost a lot of residents. And recently, just last year, we lost 2 residents. One from cancer, young lady, Miss King, that I grew up next to, and Mr. Torres. To me, it's very important because we have elderly. I have my mother, and I have Miss Branch. These are our eldest residents right now, living there. Not on vacation, not living in the States. They are living there. We cannot even walk those streets. I had a knee replacement in January. I can't walk outside, just to my car. That's it. Because I'm afraid to fall. Rocks, everything, the floor, the streets are coming apart. Never it has been paved. Never. And we were told they won't do that because we shouldn't be there. So why waste the money?
Yes,
so to me, 18 months, that's a year and a half of more torture.
Okay, we feel your pain, and we know this is very important. I want to go quickly to Bill 0273. Mr. Pell, Director Pell, you said you have a list of some 40 plus projects, and you specifically mentioned you have a list of mortgage-ready clients. I know that list has been presented here. I think it was, how many persons are on that list now?
Hello. Senator Fonseca. As of end of May, we have 466 mortgage-ready clients territory-wide. Of that number, 267 in St. Thomas and 199 in St. Croix. Those numbers change daily based on pre-qualifications.
Give me a little bit more information on that Queen Louise townhouses. I think you said it was 16 of them. Where is that going to go?
Not in Nasirivai? Yeah. It's not in Nasirivai or on next to the Queen Louise Boys and Girls Club at this moment. There was some apartments there that were previously demolished, and we are putting back some townhouses which will be put up for sale and not rental units.
Okay, good. I want to go to Bill 360045. This is a good sign. The taxi cab commission, senators, this used to be one of our real agonizing areas. I remember my first 6 months as a senator, we couldn't even get testimony from the taxi cab commission. And this is one of those areas where there's progress. We can see real progress. So I think we need to do all we can to continue to help Director Smith to move it along. I wanted to ask Julia O'Neill, McCurdy. McCurdy. I'm sorry. McCurdy, Commissioner of Finance. You were saying you did not support the $400,000. because it's well, it hasn't been reconciled. How many funds do we have that's not reconciled? Do you have an idea?
30 seconds.
We have well over 200 funds, but I don't know what we've started to do. We've gone 10 by 10, so
you ain't got to this one yet.
No.
But so what that means, right? It's maybe when you reconcile it, it might even have more money because you really don't know.
So I don't.
No, you don't know because it's not reconciled. So you're giving a statement here, subject to the reconciliation, given the assumption that it might be less. But if you have 200, it might be more.
Time.
This, Mr. Chair, if I can just rack up quickly. We have to go to the digital age. We have testimony from the Bureau of Information Technology while they take no position on it. This is an important measure. Remember, the Taxi Cab Commission, ultimately the goal is for it to become independent and come off of the general fund. So I support this measure as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you very much. Senator Fonseca. Go ahead, Commissioner McCurdy.
I agree with you. We need to bring taxi cab into, but part of what Director Reimer and I are doing is not just talk about it. We have this vendor that we're courting that we've already connected with taxi cab to where they're not finding, tourism is not finding the money. We're trying to come up with the funding so that they do get some of those automation and modernization in place. So there are efforts right now on the way to ensure that that is happening. My concern is the tourism fund, and the fund balance could say $1 billion. Bank balance is what is important to all of us. It's collected $34 million. Tourism has spent $32 million. And based on our efforts with the CFO, we know there's $12 million in the line coming to finance. So unless there is something there's additional revenues to offset that, $2 additional to it is funds that we don't know that they will be there. So that's my only concern. Not that modernization isn't important. We're living that. We're doing that right now, working with TaxiCab. And TaxiCab has been very helpful in providing information to get them to a better place. But tourism dollars, I don't know that is the place that we want to take it from. That's all.
Real quickly, Commissioner McCurdy, I heard you make reference. Have you had that communication or discussion with Ms. Smith, the Executive Director, in regards to your plans or your efforts to support the automation and modernization of the Taxi Cab Commission?
Absolutely. And Director Smith has been very helpful in getting that off the ground as well. Meeting with the vendors, providing information so that we can have this presentation and then figure out how you can make those efforts more pointed. And we're moving. We're not, just saying it. And I just don't think tourism that's my only contention. We're helping taxi cab to get to a point of automation. Tourism dollars is just not.
So you said that this funding could very well be a redundancy of it. There's already an attempt for you to address this particular issue.
So, Senator, let me make for further clarification here. We met with a vendor, and the vendor basically we have there's a platform we can use where it's a cashiering function that actually now automates basically all her records, everything that's encompassing. They just provided us a quote. We just approved the quote. And this will be redundant in regards to actually putting $400,000 on top of it. So what we basically need to do here now is lead the vendor go forward. And if there is additional items she might need after this, we can actually move forward.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
We will come back to the body.
You good? You need a point of information, Senator Bolka? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While I appreciate OMB's and Finance's responses, it has been 3 years, and we have been trying to get this situated for quite some time. Many discussions, and I want to publicly commend Ms. Melissa Smith, the director, for all of her efforts and communication and collaboration. But government funds are reconciled continuously is what I'm hearing. And that alone is not a valid reason to halt any appropriation. if that was the standard that was applied universally, then the legislature could rarely appropriate from any special fund. Until evidence demonstrates that the fund lacks sufficient resources, the legislature should not act upon the information currently as available. The post-audit division is saying that there's 64 million in there. Yes, we've had discussions about the fund needing to be audited and reconciled. So I'm just happy to hear if we walk away from this here today and nothing happens for whatever reason, I'm happy to hear that there is collaboration between OMB Finance and the Taxi Cab Commission. And of course, BIT has helped in any way that they could. I believe that they donated some equipment to the Taxi Cab Commission recently to try to help in the efforts of modernization. All we're looking for here is collaboration with our departments and agencies. We have to work together. We are all one government. So I'm happy to hear that. And I'm sorry for being so long, Mr. Chair, but thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. At this time, the chair will recognize Senator Maurice James. You're recognized for your 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to my colleagues, testifiers, everyone inside and outside the room. And welcome to the residents who are here with us. How we treat people is a direct reflection of our true feelings and values. How we treat people tells people what we think about them. And that's what we're doing here today. I want to commend the sponsors of the bills to address the injustice that has been done to the LBJ residents. My family lived in LBJ, so I speak from direct experience. I do want to point out some things, first of all. I found a newspaper, and this is what's interesting about the VI. Nothing really changes, it seems. We're dealing with problems for too long. In the Daily News, the Virgin Islands Daily News for Thursday, October 30th, 2014, the headline says, Senate committee considers bill to sell houses for $10 in Williams Delight. And right below that, it says, GERS director ready to apply for gaming license for Carambola. It is amazing how we somehow can't get past the challenges and reach solutions. I want to say to both the OMB director, Julio Raima, and the interim executive director, Valdez Shelford, that Bronx Field does not apply to LBJ because we're talking about an area where people lived. We're not talking about an area that was used for industrial or commercial purposes. That's the first thing I want to point out. Unless you can find an exception, that would be great if you can. I also want to point out to the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, your purpose is to really create homes and houses for people, our people to live in. In 1987, the powers, duties, and functions of the Virgin Islands Urban Renewal Board were transferred to the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. And one of the powers and duties of the authority under Section 85 is to prepare plans for the relocation of persons, including families, business concerns, and others displaced by an urban renewal project, and make relocation payments to or with respect to such persons for moving expenses and losses of property for which reimbursement or compensation is not otherwise made, including the making of such payments financed by the federal government. The people of LBJ have been, from I think Ms. Centeno said, in August 2023, they met with the governor of the Virgin Islands and were told that they would be given a certain amount of money in compensation for their homes. In a sense, I wish that the governor at that time had used ARPA funds, because he had the liberty to use those funds as he's used them when he started by giving the $20 million to the VI Slice program and then took back $10 million. In fact, that would have been the perfect time to compensate the people of LBJ, because then we wouldn't be having discussion about not using funds, stamp tax that comes from the sale of homes to make people whole again in their homes that we have destroyed and diminished the value. To the interim executive director, on page 4 of your testimony, you speak about that you and the Virgin Islands Housing Authority are presently in discussions to provide funding for potential homeowners in the Williams Elite Homeownership Conversion Initiative, and that you have identified home funds, which are federal funds allocated for low-income households to be used to provide gap financing and buy-down assistance to the residents of Williams Elite who are qualified for home ownership conversion. My question to you is this: in September of 2024, when the governor did the initiative that I had asked him for, the $15,000 grants to the Williams Elite residents, why at that time why didn't the VI Housing Finance Authority and the Virgin Islands Housing Authority begin to well, quite frankly, if in 1987 you were created, in 1995 the Housing Authority Williams Elite Initiative started, we're now in 2026 and you are only presently in discussions. You know, I really don't, and I'll say this. My understanding is the home funds are grants to governments that can issue them as either grants or loans. So clearly under your authority, you can in fact issue grants. Is that not correct?
The home funds?
Yes, the home funds.
To begin, we were actually recently approached by VI Housing Authority about additional funding for Williams Elite, and that's why we're in discussion with them.
Okay, recently?
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. You know why, well, and I said it the other day to my colleagues, that while you can be honest without being transparent, being truly transparent requires you to be honest. Mr. Director Alexander, I have one last question. Mr. Chair, may I continue?
You may continue.
One last question.
Yes.
One last question for the Director Alexander. What is your understanding of the $510,000 that Senator Viale he is trying to get passed for the Williams Elite? What is your understanding of the use of those funds?
Thank you. Thank you. Dwayne Alexander, Executive Director, Virgin Island Housing Authority. That $510,000 will go to the 34 individuals that has already paid their $500 to go towards their closing.
So they will each receive the same $15,000 grant that had begun before. That Senator Viale is now, thank you, Senator Viale, continuing, correct?
That's correct. The $500,000 we received before went to 33 families that all closed. So this new $510,000 will go for the next 34 families.
Okay, so 33 have closed under the grant initiative from that was issued under the ARPA funds. That's what you're saying? 33?
Yes. That's correct. 33
Okay.
families close underneath the 500,000 from ARPA funds. That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, I want to thank Senator Viale for well, let's hope it passed because I support it. I support the Williams Delight residents. I support the LBJ residents. And I want to get some more information about the VI Slice program, but I also support what Senator Viale is doing with now breaking it down even further to the system and slab. So you have my support on those bills that deal with the residents of St. Croix. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Maurice James. Next, we recognize Senator DeGraff. You're recognized for your 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, testifiers, all of you listening and present. I think I'm going to bring it home real simple. You know, we have a responsibility as a body to address certain things, which we have before us right now. And Housing Finance Authority was given that $4 million by us because we saw a need that we needed to address. We gave it to Housing Finance Authority for something specific. You put it out into it. We have some suggestions from the OMB director. We hear a lot of good testimony from people giving suggestions and everything. But the bottom line is we going to vote our conscience. I hear long enough. 10 years I'm here. And I've never, ever heard Department of Finance or no budgetary government entity give an accurate account of what money we have or don't have. They've given us numbers, and we have questioned those numbers, and we have found issues. With that being said, it's like Commissioner McCurdy, you mentioned in terms of audits. This is your last 6 months. You are here as the commissioner addressing something. You're going to fight hard, you're going to do your due. But the fact still remains, when you look at the budget book and you compare one book to the next, you see numbers, I see numbers are right. It's when we get down to the nitty gritty in budget markup and we go through all these meetings and we hear diligently and we go through this and we rob Peter to pay Paul. So I think we gave the money to Housing Finance Authority in regards to achieving a mission. The only issue I have in terms of taking it is once the $4 million done, then the dog dead for the VI Slice program that we're talking about. But into perpetuity, what we're trying to do through Housing Finance is what we would need to put our money back to try back them to assist, because this isn't the end. We have 80 something, we may do another 15. That's not the end. We got a lot of people, my children, my grandchildren, all of us want to own. Where do we go from here? VI Taxi Commission, you have how much money have you generated thus far from the last time this bill was heard to now? From November last year to now, how much money have you generated?
According to my ERP
Use the mic, please.
Okay.
Director, I
According
apologize.
to my ERP records to date, 107
bring it down to you.
$171,950 to date, according to my records.
Okay, so if we give you $400,000 now and generate a system for you, in a year time, will we generate another $100 and something thousand, or does this system, is that system paramount on revenue generation more than the 100,000?
Yes, it would support revenue generation.
Okay,
It would
speak so we could hear you.
It will augment our efforts, and it directly reinforces revenue generation. It expedites it, and it also encourages additional operators to visit our commission. We have recently onboarded through our classes, and we've had 3 cohorts so far, new operators. So we desperately need the system to manage our operation.
So thank you for that. So the OMB director stated that they're in consultation with you. They have identified actual potential A platform? Okay, a platform to address it. And what was the cost of it?
125,000.
125,000. Would that, are you aware of that, Director Smith?
So what I am aware of, and I do believe in collaboration, I received a telephone call through the OMB director and also the finance director, and I distinctly remember it was, I think, on a Friday. And they did have a vendor that may have been interested in assisting the Taxi Cab Commission with a POS system. And of course, we graciously welcomed that option. However, we have had other options. I'm not aware of additional funding sources.
Okay, so excuse me. In regards to the option that they mentioned, would that suffice to what you're trying to accomplish?
What I would say so far and what was introduced to me, it may suffice. I would like the opportunity to engage the conversation further and work to the bottom line of that option, meaning how does it link to our other governmental reporting requirements.
Because
but
my time.
But I'm gracious and I am open to that option.
Excuse me, so because my time. Again, so the conversation needs to be had some more.
Correct.
125,000. OMB director, do we have that money to pay for that system?
Yes.
I didn't hear.
Yes.
Sir?
Yes.
Yeah, we want to hear. I want to make sure that on the book, on the record. Say again, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. That settles that. Like they say, wheel bend. Okay, for that one. Now, for Housing Finance Authority, I think you said 12% of your. No, you said something is attached to the 4 million that you got. And I think you mentioned 12% for operations.
That's the stamp tax fund.
No, by the time of the $4 million, was $4 million used for the administration of it? Or all $4 million will go towards?
All would go towards the program and prospective homeowners.
Okay, so then the difference of what you were getting before we added to bumped it up to 4 million was what?
No.
You want to get zero before?
Yes.
Okay, so because I heard you mention they were getting something percentage of it, but you haven't received it.
The stamp tax funds is where we use 12% for our operating expenses.
Okay. So and then I guess in closing, so for OMB Director Reimer, the LBJ, the idea that you put forward would take what time? What type of time frame would that take?
There's $3 million according to HFA that's been approved on the mid side. So that's $3 million. Based on the legislation, you want to do $2.5 million this year and then $2.5 million over the following year. But that gives us enough time.
1 minute.
If we're using the $3 million from the mid program to go back to amend certain processes. When you go to HUD and you start talking about grants, there's certain things they can amend and basically tailor to you. And that's where you ask them when you go back to say, here's my grant, here's what I want to do, here's the extenuating circumstances. How do we now approach this? And they normally give you guidance, and that's how we got the $3 million to MIT in terms of the initial funding source.
Okay. So in terms of
30 seconds.
If we use the money from the stamp tax, it addresses the residents one time.
Correct.
Doing this process takes a longer time. And the question still remains, how much money is in the stamp tax overall? I mean, this fund, how much money are we talking about? As my colleague mentioned, he mentioned, 60-something million. What would be a ballpark figure? Since you don't have the accurate numbers now, what would be a good ballpark?
Time.
What is owed to the Virginia Housing Finance Authority is $28 million from stamp taxes.
Right.
We recently gave them $5 million. So they have that already in cash. What the bill is proposing is to give 2.5 before the fiscal year is ended. That's something myself and the commissioner need to actually go address to see if it's available, and it's probably there, but that's not the case. The case, what we're trying to tell you is we have $3 million in MIT right now, which is federal money, that we prefer you to start there, spend the federal money first, and then go backwards and say, hey, if we don't get a brownfield grant, we could address, hey, take $2.5 million or $4 million from stamp tax going forward. But we're certain that we can actually get additional federal grant to cover the whole program. So that's what we're working on now.
Okay, so in closing, if I may, Mr. Chair, what's your best overall? You gave some great suggestions. I listened to them. But now, what's your best overall suggestions for these bills in regards to 6 months? June to December is all the time you have going forward in this administration.
For each
we have to put it on the record. So just give the best 6 month advice that we could accomplish these missions here.
So, in the first item that the Senator VLA we actually discussed it, and actually we came up with basically splitting the baby down the middle, which means give the 1.7 whatever million to the SLICE program, the 500,000 to LBJ, and 1.7 to Housing Finance to do the System and Slab program. This now helps both sides. You have homeowners that you can help instantly, and you have other homeowners that have land but just can't get off the ground, that you need to help them with a system and slab. Because after you pass the system and slab process, it's easier to go to funding to the bank to say, hey, I have this system and slab, we can build from there. And they'll take it because here it is, they have more collateral, they have more skin in the game, the homeowner have more skin in the game. In regards to this other one, where we're looking $7 million from stamp tax, what I'm informing you is you have $3 million in MIT available now, which is the federal proceeds. Let's start with spending the federal funds first while we work on getting additional federal grants. If we don't, then we could go back to stamp tax. But that's the approach. We should be spending federal funds first, not local tax dollars.
Okay, so we have a 6 month window. I think that's feasible and it makes sense to me. Thank you for the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator DeGraff. Let's be mindful of the time. Some of these individuals have been here since 9 o'clock this morning. Senator Bocas, you recognize for your point of information that we come into Senator Bielé for his round of questions.
I'll make it really quick, Mr. Chair. I don't take the statements of the director to be a person who mama guys anybody, but I want to make sure that what I heard is correct. You're saying that at 100,000+ that you've found 125 that you've found an option that will do what is necessary to bring the Taxicab Commission into a modernization state.
Correct.
The funds are available. Where is it coming from? How long will it take? Does that require appropriation by this body? Could you please just fill us in so that we understand?
So between myself and Commissioner McCurdy, we could come up with $62,500 in our budgets to cover the cost. That's what we're doing. So what we're basically doing here is assisting her by there's twofold here that benefits us in the long run. We're going to spend the money now, but of course, she's only generating $240,000 a year when she used to generate $1 million a year. If she generates the $1 million a year, I can take her completely off the general fund and run her operations through her revolving fund.
That's what we want to get.
That's what we're trying to get.
That's where we want to go.
So this software, this vendor is actually providing an option that actually takes her to the 21st century instantly, that you can pay online. You could pay with different types of sources, PayPal, Venmo, etc. So they have all those platforms to the point where they have an AI module that actually she go in and type in, here is give me an analysis of the last X, Y, and Z years of what revenues did I generate. The AI model would send it, actually spit it out for her. So that's the point that we're trying to help her, not just sitting here as the Commissioner of Finance and the Director of OMB saying, well, don't give her the money, where we are already providing a solution. That's what we try to do.
Okay, very well. Thank you for the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Bocas. At this time, I recognize Senator Viela. You recognize for your 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Taxicab Commission, we recently passed legislation that all taxi drivers must utilize two forms of payment. Has it been enacted?
Yes, it has.
What percentage of the taxi drivers are not provided?
Could you repeat your question, please?
So what did you answer? Yes, it has to.
Because I briefly heard a portion of your question regarding the bill. Has it been enacted, 1967? Have we made any strides toward enacting it? And we have. But I think that I may have missed another part of your question, so I want to make sure that I completely answer your question.
Okay, hold up. I just wanted to know, is there compliance among the taxi drivers?
Yes, there is compliance and there is compensation amongst the taxi drivers, and the way we've gauged that so far is by working along with the associations and also questioning our operators as they visit us daily.
I don't want to go so long because I have a lot of questions. I just wanted to know what percentage of the taxi drivers are complying?
It appears to be at least 80% of them, contrary to popular belief. They are compliant. The second form of payment option more than often appears to be there. They are compliant with the onboarding of our new operators. We would have 100% compliance with that group because it's required.
I will find out as to the compliance because I receive a lot of complaints from on the Belsaf at Frenchman Reef that will bring in passengers on a regular basis. So I will find out.
So
the issue I have with the Taxi Cab Commission, the issue I have with the Taxi Cab Commission is that when I came into this body, the Taxi Cab Commission were collecting 900,000. Now they're collecting barely over 300,000, and they want the government to subsidize everything. If they want the $400,000, begin to do your job so that you could collect that $600,000 void that we presently have. We're looking for a bells and whistles system for $400,000. Bells and whistles, we need an enforcement officer, and we need to go back to when we were able to charge the fees, account for most of everything, and be able to realize $900,000 into the account. Until then, we just subsidize it. Now, the home program I'm reading here, the main purpose of the home program is to expand the supply of decent, affordable housing for very low and low-income families through the provision of grants to state and local government. Jurisdictions have great flexibility in designing the local home program. In the territory, home funds are primarily used to provide direct subsidy assistance to first-time home buyers. What's the balance in the home account?
Presently, we have in home like $8 million, but that we can draw down. It's not in the account. It's based on.
Hold up. $8 million. It was 10. It was 10 of the last budget when we spoke the budget markup last year or the budget hearings. You have $8 million that could be utilized for assistance to first-time homeowners. The monies that we get into that account, you said 8 last time. You're all right. The monies that we get into that account on an annual basis is around $796,000, 475. So that means for 10 years, we haven't spent money from that account. Why can't you utilize the entire $510,000 now for the homeowners in Williams Elite? And I could take that $510 and put it towards your SLAP program. Can you commit that? Because this is money that we could draw down. This money is just there. You could give them, you could have designed that however you want. Are you going to try to utilize any of that $8 million for the Williams Elite program?
Yes, we are. We are in discussion. With
not discussion. This money been there for 7 years.
Our plan is so we have to understand.
Let me finish. No, it's my time. We having all kind of discussion here all over the place today. These money's been sitting there for years that could be utilized as a subsidy. I was in the Senate last legislature and I heard the cry for Williams Elite consistently. Nothing was done. Now we bring in a bill, you're hearing all different type of stuff you don't want the money to be removed. But I wish the Housing Finance Authority would have the same energy to request that the Buy a Lot Build a Home program go back under the Housing Finance Authority where it's supposed to be and not to ODR. I wish you would go and say, I want back the Envision program because it's supposed to be under the Housing Finance Authority. But you lost all of those programs because of inefficiency and non-performance by the Housing Finance Authority. And now all of a sudden, with 6 months left in this administration, you guys know how to spend everything. We have a plan to spend this, we have a plan to spend that. But all the monies are being spent right in the sister island of St. Thomas for housing. Some $70-something million for Loveland, Calabash, Boom, everything else. That was a good investment. Perfect investment. We're going to sell it back to them. We're going to provide subsidies. We're going to give the contractor, I can't find my paper now, we're going to give the contractor $21.4 million for renovation. But when we're talking about $500,000 for St. Croix is an issue. We're not talking about $7 million for LBG. All kind of
30
issue.
seconds.
But when it comes to purchasing over 100 and something homes that's going to be available to people to purchase on St. Thomas, all is good. Through a private developer. I am just amazed, consistently amazed, as to what takes place when it comes to this island of St. Croix. And when we ask the question about the Virgin Island Housing Finance Authority, their future plans, a lot of the plans were St. Thomas. We had that meeting, and we had to question the director as to what is going to happen to St. Croix. You think St. Croix will always stay laid back here ain't complaining about what we deserve? And we just supposed to come to these hearings?
Time.
And just accept it? And you guys are now trying to figure out whether or not you're going to vote for this? We have two dysfunctional entities before us. Housing Finance Authority bringing somebody big money, pay somebody else $200,000 that was fired before. Not fired, demoted. Pay $200,000 and then you come in here with all kind of justification when you barely build any house in the last 7 years. You could count them on one hand. At some point they got it done. They hired a bunch of individuals at $105,000 the term before in the 34th legislature and nothing to run over. Look at the salaries and we can't get nothing done. Today, colleagues, we're going to stand up for a big island that they don't make a little island. We're going to stand up for it. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Viale. All right, I think that rounds out the rounds on this particular block number 2. Senator Joseph, I'm sorry, Senator Joseph. I couldn't see in the screenshot, I'm sorry. All right, Senator Joseph, you're recognized for your 6 minutes. I'm trying to catch a flight, no problem, you go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to the listening public, good afternoon to everybody in the 2 chambers, central staff, and all my colleagues. This question is for VIHFA. You stated in your testimony that the legislature appears to be premised on the assumption that the current demolition activity in LBJ wouldn't cause any issues. I would like to ask you, Director Shelford, are you going to be there when the demolition starts? Because it's easy. None of you guys live down in that area. And if you go down there yourself, you yourself going to want to know, like, wow, I wouldn't want to be in here. So if you're questioning the individuals them who live in this place, I'm going to ask you right now, are you going to be around, now that you're the acting executive director, are you going to be around when the demolition starts? Don't stay in St. Thomas. I want you in St. Croix when the demolition starts.
Senator, I don't have an issue being on St. Croix when the demolition starts. We are not insensitive to the needs of the people in the area. All we are saying is that we never ask them to move. We have discussions if people need to be moved, if we need to. We believe in safe and sanitary housing. We don't just sit back and say, oh, those people, and we are in a different bracket. We don't do that. It's hard for me to sit here and hear you bash the agency because we work hard every day. Every day. We use funds, we use federal funds, we use local funds to do our mandate. Every day. So I'll come to St. Croix when the demolition starts.
Good, because I want you to witness it so you could feel the vibes in the afternoon when it costs. Like you guys said you're going to put stuff in place to deal with dust and different issues, but regardless of what, you can imagine natural dust right now, clone in our place, and everybody got some sinus issue, the eyes burning, this rang, that rang, and that's natural. I know we getting ready to knock down a place, and I gonna listen to her. You say, no, they gonna be alright. Who is they gonna be alright? Who is they gonna be alright? Let's be real. If nature right now blooming over our place, and your eyes burning you, your children then can't go outside, all these issues, and this is nature, much less to a place that are testing for asbestos. That I say clear. Somebody else say clear. Because around here, we don't listen, and then we hear different later. And again, you guys responsible for building house. 400 people waiting for homes, if it's that amount. And if they're waiting, if you guys were responsible for single homes, just build a house them. I come out and Mumbiju. When they build them house, they build in 3-bedroom, they build in 4-bedroom, they just build house inside farm, they build house in Mumbiju, they build house in William the Light, and then people will move right in. You think you're right, you don't waiting and a waiting list for 2 years, and I ain't build one house. So when you build a house, now you still got to wait for them to build your house. So you can't say we bashing the agency and it ain't happening. It ain't happening. You have the money. If you have the money, build the house. Because if you build the house, somebody else will pick up the house. I guarantee you right now, if we had empty homes and we came to do the same thing for LBJ, we'd have had places to send the first set that are ready to move. Again, in LBJ, we want to make sure we put money aside for the attorney to work the probate cases, because there are probate cases involved. And I want to see that happen. I listened to the young lady and she talked about 6 months, but other folks who doesn't have a clear title or deed have to go through some kind of probate. So it will take some time, but this money needs to go forward. I don't know that, listening now to finance, I don't know that I had plans for $28 million. I had plans for the 7. I had plans for 5. Now we know it's 28. So again, we're willing to start with the 3,000? Not 1,000. $3 million. That's what we need. I don't want to make no mistake for LBJ. $3 million to start up, and we want it to happen, and happening now. These people need their relief. Everybody here from Williams, like you see the folks still staying. They ain't staying because they want to be here. No, they're staying here because they want home ownership. That's what they want. Everybody deserves the American dream. We are part of America that we don't enjoy the dream. We got people waiting. Money's coming, waiting. All we got to hear from COVID to now, how much money going back. That make any sense? Money's going back. People are in place, and money's going back. We got to get aggressive and feel the pain for the next person. I ain't here speaking because I want to speak. I here speaking because I went and I meet folks that I know as a child. And now as a man past 50 and still seeing people them now suffering. The parents, one of the individuals that she called earlier was a teacher's aide for me for years at Paul B. Larson. And again, pass away, waiting to move.
Time.
You can imagine that? Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time. And we standing for St. Croix all the way.
Thank you very much, Senator Clifford Joseph, Senior. At this time, do I hear a motion? Oh. All right, we'll take a 2-minute recess. The Committee of Budget, Appropriation and Finance stands in recess for 2 minutes. The Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance is out of recess and back on record. Do I hear a motion? Motion, Senator Blyden, you recognize your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, move to hold Bill number 36-0045, an act appropriating a sum of $400,000 from the Tourism Advertising Revolving Fund to the Virgin Islands Taxi Cab Commission for the implementation of technological upgrades be held in this committee for further consideration and action. I so move.
Motion properly made by Senator Blyden, seconded by Senator DeGraff. Roll call.
Senator Marvin A. Blyden. Senator Blyden, yay. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Senator DeGraff, yay. Senator Ray Fonseca. Senator Fonseca, nay. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr.
Yay.
Senator Francis Jr., yay. Senator Hubert L. Frederick. Senator Frederick, yay. Senator Maurice C. James. Senator Maurice C. James. Senator
Yes.
Senator James, yay. Senator Kurt A. Vele.
Yes.
Senator Vele, yay. Mr. Chair, 6 yay, 1 nay.
Thank you very much. Motion to hold Bill number 36-0045, an act appropriating the sum of $400,000 from the Tourism Advertising Revolving Fund to the Virgin Islands Taxi Cab Commission for implementation and technological upgrades will be held in the committee at the call of the chair.
Point of information.
Do I hear a motion?
Point of information.
One second, Senator.
Motion.
Motion, Senator Vieira, you recognize your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move that Bill number 36-0273, an act amending Act number A465, redirecting the appropriation to the first-time home buyers program, to the Williams Elite Community Home Ownership Program, and the VI Slice Home Ownership Program be voted on favorably in this committee and sent to the Committee of Rules and Judiciary for further consideration. I so move.
Second.
Motion properly made by Senator Vieira, seconded by Senator Maurice James, Senator Frederick, Senator Blyden. No, you didn't second? Roll call.
Senator Marvin A. Blyden. Senator Blyden, yay. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Senator DeGraff, yay. Senator Ray Fonseca. Senator Fonseca, yay. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr.
Yay.
Senator Francis Jr., yay. Senator Hubert L. Frederick. Yes. Senator Frederick, yay. Senator Maurice C. James.
Yes.
Senator James, yay. Senator Kurt A. Vele.
Yes.
Senator Vele, yay. Mr. Chair, 7 yeas.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Bill number 36-0273, an act amending Act number 8465, redirecting the appropriation from the first-time home buyers program to the Virgin Islands Williams Elite Home Ownership Program and the Virgin Islands Slice Home Ownership Program has been approved by the Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance and will be sent to the Rules and Judiciary Committee for further consideration and vetting. Do I hear a motion?
Amendment.
Amendment, Senator Maurice James, do you recognize your amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move amendment number 36-796, amendment in the nature of a substitute to Bill number 36-0274, offered by Senators Clifford A. Joseph Sr., Marie C. James, Kurt Vieira. Bill number 36-0274 is amended by striking the language after the enactment clause and inserting the following language. Section 1A. For purposes of this act, 1. Comparable.
Motion.
Senator Vieira, recognize your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move to waive the reading of amendment number 36-796. I so move.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second.
Motion to waive the reading of the amendment has been made, seconded by Senator Blyden. Senator Maurice James, hearing no objection, so ordered.
I so move.
So move, seconded by Maurice James, seconded by Senator Fonseca as well as Senator Blyden. Roll call. Amendment in the nature of a substitute to Bill number 36-0274.
Senator Marvin A. Blyden. Senator Blyden, yay. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Senator DeGraff, yay. Senator Ray Fonseca. Senator Fonseca, yay. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr. Senator Francis Jr., yay. Senator Hubert L. Frederick.
Yes.
Senator Frederick, yay. Senator Maurice C. James.
Yes.
Senator James, yay. Senator Kurt A. Vele. Senator Kurt A. Vele. Senator Vele, not voting.
I'm saying yes.
Senator Vele, yay. Mr. Chair, 7 yay.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, Bill number 36-0274, an act requiring the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority to pay the compensation to the homeowners of the LBJ Gardens community who have been required to vacate their homes as a result of the actions related to the demolition of properties owned by the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority and associated with the operation of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority and the Virgin Islands Waste Management. As amended by nature of substitute, has been approved by the Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance and will be sent forward to the Rules and Judiciary Committee for further consideration and vetting. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone. In the essence of time, I really had to move. Again, thank you for being here today. A special thanks to our media in being able to get our system up and running. Thank you to all our testifiers, to post-audit staff, central staff, and everyone involved in today's hearing. God bless and have a great day. The Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance is hereby adjourned.
you.